In February 1959, a group of 9 experienced hikers ventured into the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. Their leader was 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. And this was not his first expedition. They were skilled, prepared, and in high spirits. Their own photos and diary entries show them joking, singing, and full of confidence, even as the weather began to turn. On February 1st, they found themselves on the slopes of a mountain the local Mansi people called Kholat Syakhl, or the Mountain of the Dead. A blizzard was closing in, visibility dropped to 0, and the wind was becoming violent. They could have retreated down into the cover of the forest line, but instead they chose to make camp right there, exposed on the mountainside. It was a decision that has baffled experts ever since. Weeks later, when a search party finally located their camp, the scene was deeply unsettling. The tent, though partially buried in snow, was still standing. It had been sliced open from the inside. Not torn by wind, not ripped by an animal, but deliberately cut by the people within. All their supplies, warm coats, boots, food, even money were left behind, neatly arranged. The hikers had fled into the brutal -30°C night wearing little more than their sleeping clothes. Some had only socks on their feet. One was completely barefoot. They had abandoned their only source of shelter and warmth for the freezing darkness. The footprints in the snow told a story that was even stranger. There were no signs of panic, no frantic running. The tracks showed 9 people walking calmly, single file, down the slope toward the tree line. It was as if they were in a trance or being led. An investigator on the scene later described the formation as looking guided. At the edge of the forest, beneath a towering pine, the first 2 bodies were found. They were barefoot and dressed only in their underwear. They had managed to start a small fire, but it wasn't enough. The branches high above them were snapped, suggesting they had desperately tried to climb the tree. Perhaps to get a better view or to escape something on the ground. 3 more bodies, including Dyatlov's, were discovered between the tree and the abandoned tent. They were frozen in positions that suggested they were trying to crawl back to the safety they had so mysteriously fled. They knew where shelter was, but they never made it. Their bodies simply gave out in the crippling cold. For 2 long months, that was the end of the story. The world believed 5 hikers had frozen to death after a strange, unexplained panic. But when the spring thaw arrived, the final, most horrific chapter of the mystery was uncovered. Deep in a snowy ravine, a short distance from the first fire, the remaining 4 bodies were found. What had happened to them was unlike anything the investigators had ever seen. One man had a fractured skull. Another woman had her ribs crushed inward with such force it was compared to the impact of a high-speed car crash. Another man had similar catastrophic chest injuries. And yet, mysteriously, there were no external wounds, no bruises, no cuts, no signs of a fight. It was as if they had been crushed by an immense, invisible pressure. But the most disturbing discovery was the body of Vladimira Dubinina. Her tongue, her eyes, and parts of the tissue from her face were missing. The official report would later vaguely attribute this to natural decomposition in a watery environment. But no animal bite marks were ever recorded, and the nature of the wounds left forensic examiners baffled. As if that wasn't strange enough, another detail emerged. Several pieces of the victim's clothing tested positive for significant levels of radiation. The source of this radiation was never identified. The area itself showed normal background levels. Faced with a series of unexplainable facts, the Soviet authorities did something unusual. They abruptly closed the investigation. The official cause of death for all 9 hikers was listed as a compelling unknown force. The files were classified, sealed away from the public, and the entire region around Kholat Syakhl was declared a restricted zone for years. The families were told not to ask questions. To this day, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the most chilling, unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Dozens of theories exist, from an avalanche to secret military weapons tests, and even stranger, more paranormal explanations. But none can fully account for every bizarre detail of that night. Why did 9 experienced hikers cut their way out of a perfectly good tent, abandon all their gear, and walk calmly to their deaths in a frozen wasteland? What force was powerful enough to crush their bones without leaving a single mark? We may never know for sure. The Mountain of the Dead keeps its secrets well. Thank you for watching. If you found this mystery as fascinating as I do, Please like this video and subscribe for more stories from the unknown.